Clock down to 9. Sabonis kicks it out. Murray, extra pass. Herter, corner three. It's good. Kevin Herter struggling all series long with a huge three-pointer. Under 5 to play. Herter steps sideways. Three-pointer. It's good. Kevin Herter knocks down yet another three-pointer, his third of the game. Monk on the drive, goes inside all the way to the basket, lays it up and in. Timeout, Steve Kerr. And the lead is ballooned to 19. And the Warriors are going to have to do something special on the road. What an impressive win for Sacramento. Game 7 Sunday as the Kings win on the road here in San Francisco.
What else is there left to say? This was never supposed to happen. What if I were to tell you Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins were to combine for 41 points on 27% shooting in a Game 7 on the road against a near 50-win team, and the Warriors would still win in a near blowout fashion? Well, that would be because Steph Curry had the single greatest Game 7 performance in NBA history, and I can't exactly say I'm surprised. I mean, just forget about the stats for a second. Just appreciate that we will never see someone do the things Steph Curry does again. Here he is walking the ball up the floor. Draymond sets a screen for Steph to get the switch onto Keegan Murray, and at that point it's a flurry of between-the-leg dribbles before stepping back and draining a 3 in the face of a 6'9" wing. Or how about the plays that don't get enough attention? He's finishing at the rim, like on this play where he runs a give and go with GP2. And I want you to just watch this. He leaves Lyles in the dust before making a ridiculous underhanded layup. And Steph's ability to make teardrop layups over 7-footers without using the glass is one of a kind. But what made this Steph Curry performance so legendary isn't just because of the shot making or the fact he was the only name on the defense's mind for the entirety of the game. What made this so impressive was the fact it was always going to happen. Following the Dubs' worst loss of the season in Game 6, their backs were against the wall, and who else but Steph Curry to reassure them they weren't done yet. According to Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, prior to the game, Steph gave a speech, something he rarely does. I don't even talk a lot, but I've got something to say. Steph wanted to say that he believed in them, that they had enough to win. He asked for their trust in return and assured them he could deliver a victory if they all bought in and locked into the unified mission. The speech was so captivating that Andrew Wiggins went on to say, "It gave me chills. Number 30, he's different, man." Gary Payton II said he is that guy, so when he speaks, everybody better listen, because 30 is usually quiet and lets his game speak for itself. But he had to say what he had to say because he knew what type of vibe it was, and I don't think he wanted to give this one up, so he led and we followed. And when GP2 says Steph led the team, that's an understatement, because I mentioned the scoring of the Warriors' second, third, and fourth options, but as a whole, Steph Curry scored 50 points on 20 of 38 shooting. The rest of the Warriors team combined for 70 points on 23 of 62 shooting, which included a couple of garbage time buckets as well. Effectively, they made the same amount of field goals as Steph Curry did by himself, and that still somehow doesn't do things justice, because for the 7th straight game, Steph was fantastic in the fourth quarter and was the reason the Kings couldn't make any sort of comeback on their own home floor. Here he is to start the quarter with the Dubs up 10. Just a straight line drive before stopping on a dime and hitting a pull-up midi. A couple of possessions later, Steph runs a give and go with Draymond. He loops around the defense before dropping it in over the outstretched arms of Sabonis. But it was the 10 points he scored from the 8-minute mark to the 6-minute mark that officially ended the Kings' season. And there's no better play for Steph to end a team's season with than a give and go off the inbounds where Fox fell asleep for just a second and paid the ultimate price. But do you know why I wanted to focus on the fourth quarter in particular? Do you guys remember when Steph Curry was called a front runner, a system player, a second option? Well, with his team struggling offensively all series long, Steph scored double digits in every single fourth quarter except for Game 3, where he had 8 points, putting up a total of 81 points on 53% from the field and 37% from 3 in the most crucial minutes of his team's season. But it gets even crazier. The Warriors were never supposed to win back-to-back must-win games on the road. Over the course of the entire season, the Golden State Warriors were 11-30 away from home. In those 11 wins, they had 3 wins against teams above 500. 3, and one of those wins was a game at the end of the season against a Kings team that rested all of their starters. So in the space of 2 must-win games, they had as many wins against 500 opponents on the road as they did over the entire season. That doesn't make any sense. But when you remember it's the Golden State Warriors, it makes a little bit more sense. With all of this being said, everyone is going to be talking about Steph Curry, and that's for good reason. It was the greatest Game 7 ever. But if I'm the only one that is going to talk about the other MVP of the series, then that's what I'm going to have to do. Because aside from Steph, Kevon Looney was the reason the Warriors won this series. Kevon Looney is the 166th highest paid player in the league, and not a single one of those players is better at rebounding the basketball than him. And I really mean that, because the last time a player recorded 20 rebounds in 3 different games during a playoff series was Dwight Howard during 2008. But I want everyone to truly realize how special this is for Loon to do. This was Dwight Howard in 2008.
Oh my gosh.
And this is Kevon Looney. All he has that every other center doesn't have is a willingness to do anything to grab that rebound and the IQ to put himself in the right spots. I mean, you see what Dwight Howard does on the court and then Kevon Looney. It makes no sense they could be anywhere near the same conversation as rebounders. And I want you to pay very close attention to the time on these plays. With 7:20 left in the third quarter, Steph has the ball. He drives into the paint trying to score on Sabonis. There are 3 Kings players in a 3 feet radius, including Terrence Davis, who thinks he has the board secured, but Loon just rips it out of his hands with one hand before kicking it out to Wiggs, who is fouled. But it gets better, because after getting fouled, Wiggs goes to the free throw line, where none other than Kevon Looney grabs the offensive board off the missed free throw. And if you thought he was done, shame on you, because 30 seconds later, Wiggs jacks up a 3. Watch Loon muscle Sabonis under the ball before grabbing another offensive board. And how about the dime to Wiggs as well? Don't take that for granted either, because to make a pass like that off balance around 2 defenders to a cutting player is not something that many other centers can do. And I promise you I'm not faking these clips, because a minute later, once again, it's Wiggs who misses the shot. But don't worry, because Loon is there to tip it to himself before putting it back in on the second attempt. Just to put into perspective how mind-blowing this sequence is, Nikola Jokic is currently averaging the 3rd most offensive rebounds in the playoffs at 4.8 a game. In less than 2 minutes, Kevon Looney secured 5 offensive boards, which led to points on all but one of those plays. And it was these performances from Steph Curry and Kevon Looney that saved the Golden State Warriors season.